Vasudevaya. Janmadyasya yatodviyad itaratas chartesu avidya swarat.
Janmadyasya yatam vayaditaratas chartesu avidya swarat.
Tene brahma hridaya adhikavaye muyanti yatsurayaha.
Tenne brahma hridaye kadikavaye mujanti jasuraya.
Tejo varimidam yata vinimayo yatra trisargo mrisha.
Tejo varimrida jata vinimayo jatra trisargo mrisha.
Damna srena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi.
Damna svena sada nirasta kuhakam satyam param dhimahi.
O my Lord, Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva.
O my Lord Shri Krishna, son of Vasudeva.
O all-pervading personality of Godhead.
O all-pervading personality of Godhead.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
I offer my respectful obeisances unto you.
I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth.
I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because he is the absolute truth.
And the primeval cause of all causes.
And the primeval cause of all causes.
Of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of the manifested universes.
Of the creation, sustenance, and destruction of all manifested universes.
He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations.
He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations.
And he is independent because there's no other cause behind.
And he is independent because there's no other cause beyond him.
It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji.
It's she only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji.
The original living being.
The original living being.
By him, the demigods are placed into illusion.
By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion.
As one is bewildered by the illusory representations.
As one is bewildered by the illusory representations.
Of water seen on fire, or land seen on water.
Of water seen on fire, of land seen on water.
Only because of him do the material universes.
Only because of him do the material universe.
Temporarily manifested by the reaction to the three modes of nature.
Temporarily manifested by the reaction to the three modes of nature.
Appear factual, although they are unreal.
Appear factual, although they are unreal.
I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna.
I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna.
Who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode.
Who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode.
Which is forever free from the illusory representations of the material world.
Which is forever free from the illusory representation of the material world.
I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth.
Dharma Pujita Kaitravudra.
Dharma Prajita Kaitavutra.
Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam.
Paramo Nirmatsaranam Satam.
Vedyam Vastavam Atra Vastu.
Vedyam Vastavam Astra Vastu.
Shivadam Tapa Trayonmulanam.
Shivadam Tapo Trayonmulanam.
Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite.
Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Krite.
Kimva Parer Ishvaraha.
Kimva Parer Ishvaraha.
Sadyor Hidi Avarudyate Tra.
Sadyorudya Varudyatitra.
Kriti Bihi Sususubishtakshanat.
Kriti Bihi Sususubishtakshanat.
Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated.
Completely rejecting all religious activities which are materially motivated.
This Bhagavata Purana propounds the highest truth.
This Bhagavad Purana propounds the high truth.
Which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in heart.
Which is understandable by those devotees who are fully pure in the heart.
The highest truth is reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all.
The highest truth, the reality distinguished from illusion for the welfare of all.
Such truth uproots the threefold miseries.
Such truth uproots the threefold miseries.
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity.
This beautiful Bhagavatam compiled by the great sage Vyasadeva in his maturity.
Is sufficient in itself for God realization.
Is sufficient itself for God realization.
What is the need of any other scripture?
What is the need of the other scripture?
As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam.
As soon as one attentively and submissively hears the message of Bhagavatam.
By this culture of knowledge.
By this culture of knowledge.
The Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
The Supreme Lord is established within his heart.
Nigama kapaturur galitam phalam.
Nigama galitam phalam.
Sukhamukad amrita dravya samyutam.
Sukhamukad amrita dravya samyutam.
Pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam.
Pibata bhagavatam rasam alayam.
Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha.
Muhur aho rasika bhuvi bhavukaha.
O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam.
O expert and thoughtful men, relish Srimad Bhagavatam.
The mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures.
The mature fruit of the desired tree of Vedic literatures.
It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami.
It emanated from the lips of Sri Sukadeva Goswami.
Therefore, this fruit has become even more tasteful.
Therefore this food has become even more tasteful.
Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all,
Although its nectarian juice was already relishable for all,
including liberated souls.
including liberated souls.
Shinvatam Swakata Kṛṣṇa
Shravantam Swakata Kṛṣṇa
Punya Shravana Kirtana
Punya Shravana Kirtana
Vidyantakstohi Bhadrani
Vidyantasto Hiya Bhadrani
Vidunati Srihitsatam.
Vidunoti Suritsatam.
To hear about Krishna from Vedic literatures,
To hear about Krishna from the Vedic
or
Lord,
to hear from him directly through the Bhagavad Gita,
or to hear from him directly from the Bhagavad Gita,
is itself righteous activity.
it is self-righteous activity.
And for one who hears about Krishna,
And for one who hears about Krishna,
Lord Krishna, who is dwelling in everyone's heart,
Lord Krishna is dwelling within everyone's heart,
acts as a best wishing friend,
acts as the best wishing friend,
and purifies the devotee who constantly engages in hearing of him.
and purifies the devotee who constantly engaged in hearing of him.
Nastapresu abhadresu
Nasta Prayesha Bhadreshu
nityam bhagavata sevaya
Nityam Bhagavata Seva
bhagavati uttamasloke
Bhagavati Uttamasloke
bhaktir bhavati naistiki.
Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops his dormant transcendental knowledge.
In this way, a devotee naturally develops dormant transcendental knowledge.
As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam
As he hears more about Krishna from the Bhagavatam
and from devotees,
and from the devotees,
he becomes fixed in the devotional service of the Lord.
he becomes fixed in devotional service of the Lord.
Tadarajastamo bhava
Tadarajastamo Bhava
kamaloba dayaschi
Kamaloba Dayascha
cheta itar anavidam
Cheta Itaranavidam
stifam sattve prasidati.
Sitam Sadve Prasidati.
By development of devotional service,
By development of devotional service,
one becomes freed from the modes of passion and ignorance,
one becomes freed from the modes of passion of ignorance.
and thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
And thus material lust and avarice are diminished.
Evam prasanna manaso
Evam prasanna manaso
bhagavat bhakti yogataha
Bhagavat Bhakti Yogata
bhagavat tattva vijnanam
Bhagavat Tattva Vijnana
mukta sanghasya jayate.
Mukta Sangha Sajayate.
When these impurities are wiped away,
Where these impurities are wiped
the
away,
candidate remains steady in his position of pure goodness,
the candidate remains steady in his position
becomes
of pure
enlivened by devotional service,
goodness, becomes enlivened by devotional service,
and understands the science of God perfectly.
and understand the science of God perfectly.
Vidyate hridaya grantis,
Vidyate Hridaya Grantis
chidyante sarvasamsaya,
Chidyante Sarva Samshaya
siyante jasya karmani,
Chidyante Sachakarmani
drishta evat manishvare.
Drusta Evadmanishvari.
Thus Bhakti Yoga severs the hard knot of material affection
Thus the Bhakti Yoga severs the hardness of material
and
affection
enables one to come at once to the stage of a samsayam samagram,
and enables one to come at once to the stage of assumption samagrama,
understanding of the supreme absolute truth, personality of Godhead.
understanding the supreme absolute true personality of Godhead.
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotee in Krishna consciousness
Therefore, only by hearing from Krishna or from his devotees in Krishna consciousness
can one understand the science of Krishna.
can one understand the science of Krishna.
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 19, verse number 6. Yavai lasat shri tulasi vimrisa
Yahweh Lasat Shri Tulasi Vimishra
Krishnan griren vabayadi kambu netri
Krishna Virenya Vyadikambu Netri
punati lokan ubayatra sesan
Punati Lokanu Bayatra Seshan
kastam naseveta marishyamana.
Kastam Naseveta Mari Shamana.
Translation by Srila Prabhupada. The river, Ganges, by which the king sat to fast, carries the most auspicious water, which is mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord and tulsi leaves. Therefore, the water sanctifies the three worlds, inside and outside, and even sanctifies Lord Shiva and other demigods. Consequently, everyone who is destined to die must take shelter of this river. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Maharaj Parikshit, just after receiving the news of his death within 7 days, at once retired from family life, shifted himself to the sacred bank of the Yamuna River. Generally, it is said that the king took shelter on the bank of the Ganges, but according to Srila Jiva Goswami, the king took shelter on the bank of the Yamuna. Srila Jiva Goswami's statement appears to be more accurate because of the geographical situation. Maharaj Parikshit resided in his capital of Hastinapur, situated near present Delhi, and the river Yamuna flows down past the city. Naturally, the king would take shelter of the river Yamuna because she is flowing past his palace door. And as far as sanctity is concerned, the river Yamuna is more directly connected with Lord Kṛṣṇa than the Ganges. The Lord sanctified the river Yamuna from the very beginning of his transcendental pastimes in this world. While his father, Vyasadeva, was crossing the Yamuna with the baby Sri Kṛṣṇa for a safe place at Gokula on the other bank of the river from Mathura, the Lord fell down in the river, and by the dust of his lotus feet, the river at once became sanctified. It is especially mentioned herein that Maharaj Parikshit took shelter of that particular river, which is beautifully flowing, carrying the dust of the lotus feet of Lord Kṛṣṇa, mixed with tulasi leaves. Lord Kṛṣṇa's lotus feet are always besmeared with the tulasi leaves, and thus, as soon as his lotus feet contact the water of the Ganges and the Yamuna, the rivers become at once sanctified. The Lord, however, contacted the river Yamuna more than the Ganges. According to the Varaha Purana, as quoted by Srila Jiva Goswami, there is no difference between the water of the Ganges and the Yamuna, but when the water of the Ganges is sanctified 100 times, it is called Yamuna. Similarly, it is said in the scriptures that 1,000 names of Vishnu are equal to one name of Rama, and 3 names of Lord Rama are equal to one name of Kṛṣṇa. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. So now we know why people take the ashes of devotees and their loved ones, whether they're devotees or not, and have them immersed into the Ganges. The ceremony. This usually happens in Prayag, or also in Haridwar at the Harkipuri Bridge. So, Prabhupada says here, the river Ganges carries the most auspicious water, which is mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord and tulsi leaves. Well, yeah, the Lord, as Vamana Dev stretched his foot, and on his second step, although he was a midget, it pierced the covering of the material universe, or this material universe, and a few drops of the causal ocean came into this world. And they stayed on the upper planets of the Devas, and that river was known as the Mandakini. But then the sons of Sagar, who were looking for the horse the horse sacrifice of their father, was kidnapped by Indra, and he hid it in the nether world, in the underground world that's accessed at the confluence when the Ganges pours into the Bay of Bengal, and there's some place there where you can enter into under the crust of the earth, and there's other civilization there. So the sons of Sagar were sent by the father to find the horse. And they went down under the crust of the earth, and they saw the horse at the ashram of Lord Kapila Dev. And they got really angry, and they thought the Lord had kidnapped or stolen the horse. Actually, it was Lord Indra who left the horse. And the Lord was in a state of meditation at that time. So these boys, I think there's 60,000 of them, they ran with really angry words and angry mentality toward the Lord to attack him. But the Lord is transcendental. So all their anger did not affect the Lord at all. He was not affected by it. He didn't do anything. He just kept in his meditation. And the anger bounced back on these boys, and they all burned to death. In their ashes, there was a big pile of their ashes. So then, 2 generations later, another saintly king decided to find the ashes of these boys, and he eventually went to the netherworld and to the ashram of Lord Kapila Deva, but he didn't get angry at the Lord, and but he saw the ashes of the boys, and he wanted to know how he could purify them. And it was revealed to them that he would have to bring down the Mandakini into the lower planetary systems. And so he previously 2 other people tried to do it, and they didn't succeed. So he got the advice how to do it. And his name is Bhagirati, and he was able to bring down the Ganges with the help of Lord Shiva, who captured the Mandakini in his hair, tuft of hair, and with his mystical power. And then slowly she was brought down into the material world as the Ganges River. It's a very interesting story. It reveals a lot about the geography of the earth. There's still many parts of the earth that have never been explored. But that's another subject. So, this Ganges River, therefore, originally was sanctified by touching the lotus feet of Vamana Dev. So, therefore, this auspicious water, which is mixed with the dust of the lotus feet of the Lord and tulsi leaves, therefore that water sanctifies the 3 worlds, inside and outside, and even sanctifies Lord Shiva and other demigods. So one time we did a funeral ceremony for an Indian, I think it was a gentleman who died. No, it was a woman. It was a very nice lady. She used to come to this temple, and I know her husband, he's still alive. And once they had her ashes, the father called me up, or the husband called me up and said, I'm not going to be going to India for a long time, but the pundits in India are saying that her ashes have to be immediately washed in the Ganges water. I said, what do I do? And I said, well, I don't know. I didn't know at that time. So he consulted with those sages, and they said that he could go to the shore of the Pacific Ocean and bathe her ashes in the Pacific Ocean water, because the Ganges flows into the Bay of Bengal, and the Bay of Bengal is connected to the Pacific Ocean. So the Pacific Ocean is also, and it says here that therefore the water sanctifies the 3 worlds. That means the higher planets, the middle planets, and the lower planets, inside and outside. And even sanctifies Lord Shiva and other demigods. So, so we took her ashes up to Everett and went into the salt water there, and bathed their ashes. So it was a very interesting situation. So consequently, everyone who is destined to die must take shelter of this river. So many people's ashes have been taken to the Ganges and dispersed in the sacred waters of the Ganges. So, as we said yesterday, as soon as Maharaj Parikshit received the news of his death, within 7 days, he immediately retired from family life and shifted himself to the sacred bank of the Yamuna River. So often it's said that he and I always thought that he took shelter on the bank of the Ganges. But now we learned that according to Jiva Goswami, Srila Jiva Goswami took shelter on the bank of the Yamuna because it was right outside of his palace in Hastinapur. And the Yamuna is considered even more holy than the Ganges because Kṛṣṇa bathed in the Yamuna often. So also, let's see what actually happened here. King Parikshit was cursed by Shringi, the son of a brahmana who was immature. So I told an episode once of Lord Chaitanya who was cursed by a brahmana, and the curse had no effect on him. And in that episode in the Adi Lila, 17th chapter, verse 62 to 64, it's explained. And verse 64 says that the Brahminical curse cannot affect the Lord, nor his devotee who sincerely follows Krishna consciousness. So, there's so many movies made nowadays. They're called scary movies. Kids often want to hear scary stories, right? And they like to watch scary movies. But, you know, when I was giving, telling stories to kids here in the temple, we would do it every Wednesday. And they would always ask me for a scary story. So I'd always say, okay, next time I'll tell you a scary story. So the next time they come and I tell them another nice story about Krishna consciousness, and then they say, well, what about the scary story? You know? I said, okay, well, next week I'm going to tell you a scary story. So that next week I told them a scary story. They all freaked out. They were afraid when they heard the story. It was a really scary story. And oftentimes people, you know, I mean, kids, when they watch scary movies, they get scared. They get really scared, right? Even the adults get scared, right? They make these really scary movies nowadays. So, you know, with ghosts in it and dead people walking around and people getting cursed and seeing a double of what do you call that? It's a German word. I'll think of it in a minute. Anyway, seeing a ghost that looks exactly like them, but it's an evil ghost, and wherever they go, they see it, you know, in front of them, behind them, and finally the ghost freaks them out so much they commit suicide. So, those are really scary stories. Anyway, here we have the solution to that. So one time, one initiated devotee, it was before he was initiated, he came to me, he's an Indian from Fiji. And he begged me, he said, please do something. One of the priests in Fiji has cursed me. I said, well, how do you know that? He said, I know that. He said, you have to do something. I said, how do you know I can do something? He said, no, I know you can do something. But how do you know I can do something? No, I know. Please do this. So I said, okay. So I told him we would do it in a week, and I told him he has to get different paraphernalias and things like that. So then he wanted me to come to his house to do the ghost busting. Right? That's what it's called, ghost busting. So I went to his house, and I did the Nishinga Kavacha, the whole process. You know, you have to touch different parts of the body and say different things, and I did the whole thing. And then we had a fire sacrifice and so forth. And then I had him chant Hare Krishna also. He was not a devotee at that time, so he didn't really believe in Hare Krishna at that time. But I told him you have to say it, so he said it. And then next week he called me up and says, "It worked." I said, "How do you know it worked?" He said, "I don't have that bad feeling anymore, and I know it worked. I feel relieved." I said, "Okay." He said, "I want to come and see you some more." He said, "This guy was not a devotee, right? And he never came to the temple, but he found out about me somehow." So I said, "Okay, come to the temple." So he started coming to the temple, and his wife also. By the way, Fijians are big time into black magic. I mean, in India also, right? But the Fijians especially are big time into black magic. So he started coming, eventually got initiated. Right? And he's a devotee, He doesn't come a lot to the temple, but he still comes, and he always donates to the temple. So that's the point. The point is, just like in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Adi Lila 1762 to 64, it says clearly that anyone who is a devotee, like Lord Chaitanya, if they're chanting sincerely, they will not be affected even by the curse even by a Brahminical curse. So there was this Brahmana who did not like the fact that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was organizing kirtans in the house of, I think it was Srivas Thakur, at night. And they would go on all night long. And it was happening every day. And they wouldn't allow anyone in who wasn't a devotee. Right? And these caste brahmanas and phony brahmanas in Navadvip, they got jealous, and in fact, they were not allowed into the kirtan. So one day, this one brahmana who was a very angry guy, he met Lord Chaitanya and started speaking very harshly to him, and he took out his brahmana thread, said a curse, and broke it. But it didn't affect the Lord at all. And in this verse 1:1764, it clearly says that as the curse did not affect Lord Chaitanya, and any devotee who's sincerely following Krishna consciousness will not be affected even by the curse of a Brahmana. So that's very interesting. And we see here that Maharaj Pariksit was cursed by a Brahmana. But it's a Brahmana boy, but still he's a Brahmana, that he would die. And we already found out that he could have countered that curse. And he could have asked also Samika Rishi to stop the boy's curse. But in other words, he could have stopped it himself, or he could have asked Samika Rishi also to stop it. But he didn't. And he accepted it and immediately cut off all mundane relationships and took complete shelter on the bank of the Yamuna by hearing Srimad Bhagvatam spoken by Sukadev Goswami. So this gave the opportunity for the whole world to hear the Srimad Bhagvatam. And that's why we're reading it today, because of Maharaj Parikshit's exemplary behavior. And therefore it says here, he explains why the Yamuna is so sacred. Yeah, because Vasudeva carried Krishna across the Yamuna to take him from Kamsa's dungeon to the safety of Nanda Maharaj in Vrindavan. But at that time, Ganga wanted to have the darshan of the little baby, So she swept the baby out of the arms of Vasudeva. And Vasudeva became extremely, let's say, distressed, thinking that, oh my God, the boy's going to drown. And he was praying like anything. And then after Ganga had the darshan of baby Kṛṣṇa, and she gave him back to Vasudeva, and he was able to take. So there the Lord, lotus feet, touched the Yamuna River, not only once, but many times after that. So that's why it's so sacred. So, and then it says that as a devotee of the Lord, he, meaning Maharaj Pariksit, could understand that the cursing of the Brahmana boy, although unwise, was a blessing upon him, being the cause of detachment from worldly affairs, both political and social. Now, do we have to wait to be cursed to die? Or do we have to, have some terminal disease to get serious about Krishna consciousness? No. The whole point here is by hearing this, we should understand that the real purpose of life is this, is hearing Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagvatam. And this is explained in a whole lecture by Srila Prabhupada. Srimad Bhagavatam 7, 9, 19. And this is so I read a little bit of this yesterday, but I'm going to read a little bit more of it because Prabhupada says, because we become diseased, we become subject to birth and death. This is all due to our sinful activities. Why are we repeatedly going over this process of birth and death? We are actually eternal. Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. Bhagavad Gita 2:20. This is our real position, that we do not die even after the body's destruction. Then why should I be in this position that reportedly I have to die? I have to give up this body and again accept another body, again suffer. This is the problem. But the mudas and the duskritinas, meaning the people who are ass-like, who work all day long, they get exhausted, they come home, they overeat, and then they have illicit activities and go to sleep, and then start all over the next day. And the duskritinas are evil people. They do not see the real problem. That is their fault. Neither they have knowledge to see the real problem. Therefore, they are mudas. They're ass-like, stupid, like a beast of burden. Animal in the slaughterhouse. It says, he's understood that Nahanyate hanyamane sarire. Who's that? That's Maharaj Pariksit. He understands this verse, 2:20. So this question does not come. The Muda doesn't understand this Bhagavad Gita verse, 2:20. So he's subject to this unnecessary tribulation, this unnecessary trouble of birth and death. Nobody thinks, therefore. The Muda, just like the animal in the slaughterhouse. One animal is being killed and the other animal is eating grass. He's thinking, oh, I am safe. He does not know that next moment he will be killed. This is animal life. The human life means if somebody's being killed, so he should be immediately warned, taking warning. Oh, my turn is next. Let me go away. So, the people who are not thinking about preparing themselves for death, they're just thinking about eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. They're not human beings. They're animals because they're living exactly like an animal. In the next life, they'll take birth like an animal. This is what. This is due to the educational system in this country and in Europe and in India now. So, but people are thinking, I'm safe. Just like I had a friend of mine, he was a Marwari, very wealthy businessman. Every time I would go to Delhi, I would stay in his mansion in it was across the street from the tomb of Lodi. You know where that is? It's a very wealthy neighborhood. Lodi, I think that was, he was, huh? Yes. He was a Muslim king, and his shrine is in this park. Yeah, yeah. You ever been in that neighborhood?
Yeah, I grew up in Vedic.
Yeah, it's in very expensive mansions there. And this guy owned a mansion there. And I was friends with him, so every time I go to Delhi, he would insist that I stay with him, so I would stay with him 1 or 2 days. And he was a nonsense. He was a big nonsense guy. But he helped out devotees. He donated, there's an ashram we have in Dwarka that belonged to him. He donated to the movement. And then he made a lot of donations. Right? So I convinced him to donate that ashram, that you can go there now today, and it's an ISKCON temple. It's in Dwarka. But anyway, he was a nonsense. He would come here also and stay for 2 weeks, sometimes a month, sometimes 2 months. And every day he'd do nonsense. Like he'd go down to Issaquah where they have those glider rides, right? You have to pay him like $150. You go up the mountain, right? And then you get in and you have an instructor with you so you don't kill yourself. And then you fly through the air, right? From the top of the mountain back down again, you know. So he would do crazy things like that. You know, I don't know if you ever seen that, but you know. So he was a nonsense, a big nonsense. But he was very friendly to Krishna consciousness. And so he would eat nonsense stuff all the time, you know. So I told him one day, I said, Prabhu, I said, you know, you keep eating like this, you know, you're going to die. You get a heart attack. He said, no, I'm not worried. I said, why are you not worried? He said, all the Marwaris know this doctor in Dallas, Texas. Whenever the heart problem comes, we take a flight to Dallas, and he does bypass. That's exactly what he said. See how crazy they are, right? And but they don't really take anything seriously, right? And he was telling the truth. He said all the Marwaris know, you know, whenever the heart problem, we take a flight down to Dallas. You know, the doctor does bypass, and we're okay. So anyway, this is what I mean. The knowledge is there, but they're not thinking. They're just like living like animals. So he does not know, next moment I will be eating grass. I will be killed. This is animal life. The human life means if somebody's being killed, so he should be immediately warned, taking warning. Oh, my turn is coming. Let me go away. And now Prabhupada tells a story about a hunter who spread his net, and there was a family of birds, father, mother, and son, and the mother and son got caught in the son got caught in the net. And the father and the mother saw this, and the mother immediately went to try and save the son, and she got caught in the net. And the father was looking, and he saw the wife and the son are hopeless, and he just turned around and left because there was nothing he could do. So Prabhupada tells that story because the father said, now if I go to save them, I'll be captured. Let me go away. Let me take sannyasa. That's all. So all devotees laughed when Prabhupada said that. He said, that is intelligence. You cannot give protection to your family, to your society. No, you cannot give. That is not possible. They must die. They must be captured by the network of Maya. You cannot save them. If you want to save them, then make them Kṛṣṇa conscious. That is the only remedy. Unless you are expert in saving your children by giving them Kṛṣṇa consciousness, then you should not become father or mother. That is real contraceptive method. That we are married, undoubtedly, husband and wife, but unless we are competent to give protection to my children, no more death means protection. They should become pure devotees. We should not have children. this is real contraceptive. That is the instruction in Srimad Bhagvatam. Pita nasa syaj janani nasa syat namochayed ya samyupeta mrityum. Your duty as a parent is to give protection to your children, your father, your mother. That's very good. But real protection is that my children, this boy, this girl, has come in my belly. Now this is the last. I shall train them in such a way that next birth he'll not have a material body. How is that? Yes, it is possible. Tyaktva-deham punarajanma naitimam etis konteya. Bhagavad Gita 4.9. One can give up this material body. Everyone has to give it up. There's no doubt. But one is giving up this body and accepting another body. Tata dehantara prapti. Bhagavad Gita 2nd chapter, 13th verse. But there is another method. That is, he's not going to accept any more material bodies. That is said in Bhagavad Gita, Tyaktva deham punarjanma naitimam eti sarjana. Bhagavad Gita 4.9. After giving up this body, he is not going to accept another material body. Who? Janma karma cha me divyam ye janati tatvataha. Anyone who has understood Kṛṣṇa, he will be liberated. This is the secret. To teach your children like that who is Kṛṣṇa. From the beginning, you can do that. The children are under your control, just like we are teaching these boys. They are simply chanting, dancing. That is Kṛṣṇa consciousness. They are advancing in Kṛṣṇa consciousness. It is not that useless exit education. After some years, they will learn how to smoke bidi. It is not like that. They'll never touch bidi. This is education. Tan manye aditam uttamam. Even they are not literary people. They will have character and they'll become Kṛṣṇa devotee. That is real education. Don't think that these boys are brought here, they are not giving any education, academic. They do not know what is history, what is geography. In other words, these boys that are in Kṛṣṇa consciousness, they don't know anything. They don't know history, they don't know geography, they don't know IT, they don't know this, they don't know that. They know little, not very much. We don't require to know very much. Neither we are very much concerned learning ABCD. Even without ABCD, they will be advanced in education. This is Prahlad Maharaj's instruction. Tan manye aditam uttamam. One who has taken the Kṛṣṇa consciousness directly, he is actually advanced in education. What is this education? This education, this other education, material education, has no value. Even from mundane point of view, Chanakya Pandit has recited this verse. Matravat paradaresu lostravat matravat paradaresu paradravyesu lostravat atmavat sarvabhutesu ya pasyati na panditaha. He says, well, who is Pandita? Pandita means one who has learned how to see other women. Means except one's wife, any other woman he sees as mother. He is Pandita. Where is that education? Where is that education? No. But these children will be educated in that way, to see all women as mother. Matravat paradarisu, paradravyesu lostravat. And they will see others' property like garbage in the street. Nobody touches garbage. That is Pandita. He'll not touch even anything. Even valuable jewels lying on the street, a Pandita will say, I shall not touch it. This is a moral education. And Atmavat sarvabhutesu, Atmavat. If you feel some pain by pinching, why should you pinch others? And this is Pandit. If you try when your throat is cut with a knife, why you should slaughter other animals? Therefore, Lord Jesus Christ says, thou shalt not kill. But these people are so uneducated. In spite of their PhDs, they don't have this simple education that I suffer when I am killed, why I shall kill others. This is modern, this is the fault of modern education. All nonsense rascals education. This is not education, he said. You see how powerful Prabhupada is speaking here. He said, even if a kid doesn't know how to read and write, so what? As long as he's a devotee and he's morally upright and believes in Krishna and chanting Hare Krishna, then that's real education. And this other education, they're so educated that they don't believe in God anymore. They smoke bidi, instead of doing bhakti yoga, they do bidi yoga. Right? And they just become atheists by following all this educational thing. Just like I have a friend of mine. He has a very nice daughter, and she is very well educated, very intelligent girl, and she works in Microsoft now. So I asked him one day, I said, how come your daughter never comes to the temple? He said, oh, no, I've been telling her to come. I said, see, this is the problem of educational system. No, she is Krishna conscious. Oh, really? How come she never comes to the temple? I said, and we're in the U district all the time. It's not difficult. She lives in Seattle. I mean, she could come sometime. And it's at nighttime also. And okay, I'm going to tell her to come and help out. Zero. No, because they're contaminated by the educational system. Even though they grew up with excellent mother and father who always were Krishna conscious and trying to help them, but they're, maybe later on they'll wake up, who knows. But for the time being, they're completely, instead of being Krishna conscious, they're Microsoft conscious. So this is the problem. Anyway, so we have to become father and mother. We shall have to teach our children in such a way that next life, no more material life. He goes back home, back to Godhead. That is real father and mother. Therefore, it is said, Balasya neha saranam nishinga pitaro. If the father and mother do not know how to give protection to children, then what is the use of taking shelter? In Prema Vivarta it says, Janame sabe pita matapaya. Krishna Guru nahi mile bhaja hari e. Even cats and dogs, they also have father and mother. Without father and mother, who can take birth? So to become the father, mother, like cats and dogs, that's not human civilization. The father, mother's duty is to train the children in such a way that they will be interested in Krishna and Guru. That is father, that is mother. Because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Soham priyasya surida. No, I'm sorry. Because Lord Chaitanya says, E rupa brahmanda brahmite kona bhagyavan jiva Guru Krishna kripaya paya bhakti lada bija. So it is the duty of the father and mother to train children in such a way that they will be interested in Guru and Krishna. Why? By the mercy of Guru and Krishna, he'll get bhakti lata bija, the seed of love of God. And that is real life. Savai pumsa paro dharmo yato bhakti rahuchase. So he says, that is real religious system that teaches the follower how to become a devotee. Bhaktir ahoksaje, haitaki pratihata yayatma suprasidati. If you want to make him happy, or you want to make your child happy, then you must teach in such a way that he becomes a devotee of the Lord. Then throughout the whole life, he'll be peaceful and happy. This is required. Therefore, the ordinary father and mother, like cats and dogs, they are not real shelter of the children. Prahlad Maharaj said, Palasya neha saranam pitaro nishingha. Palasya neha saranam pitaro nishinga na artasya. Artasya means diseased, suffering from some disease. No, just like I have already explained, we are opening hospitals and bed. That is not. You cannot do it. You can do it, but at the same time, he must be Krishna conscious. We have got practical examples. Some of our devotees, they go to the hospital and they purchase our books and they become a devotee. In other words, some of our devotees are selling books in the hospital to the sick people, and the sick people buy the books and they become devotees. Even in the hospital bed, they're reading Srimad Bhagvatam, Bhagavad Gita, and taking benefit. That is real remedy. So after being cured, he'll become a devotee. So this medicine is not cure. This literature is cure. Krishna consciousness, that is real cure, not tasya chagadam and udanvati majato, no. Everyone is drowned, either you take figuratively or really. In the samudra, in the sea, ocean, there are always ojas, waves. So you're a tiny boat or big ship that is not safe. We have got experience. When I was going to New York on ship, I had no money to go by plane. So in the deep sea ocean, especially in the Atlantic Ocean, like a small ball, this boat was tottering like this and that, going back and forth. At any moment, it could be capsized. Although a very big ship with very big load, but it is nothing in the sea. So that is not, so it's not sure. There's no surety that because you are in a big ship, you'll be saved. No. In your country, it happened. Say 50, 60 years, the Titanic. Or what is that? What is that? In the first voyage, everything was drowned, all big, big men. So nature's freak is so strong that you cannot say that because I have got a nice ship, I'll be saved. No, that's not possible. Without Krishna's protection, all these counteracting measures will be all useless. So, this is a very powerful lecture by Prabhupada. 7:9:19. So Prabhupada then says, therefore, teach people how to take shelter of Krishna. Sarva dharmam parityaja mamekam saranam vraja. Bhagavad Gita 18:66. You can say that. Does it mean that God is partial? He takes only care of the devotees and not others? No, he takes care of everyone. But everyone is not fortunate to take shelter of Krishna. When he says, Sarvadharmam parityaja mamekam, he does not say to his devotees only. He says to everyone. But everyone is not fortunate to take shelter of Krishna. Unfortunate. Samaham sarvabhutesu. He's not partial. He's not partial to anyone. Nobody is enemy or friend of Krishna. Everyone is his son. Aham bija pradapita. Bhagavad Gita 14:4. Just like the father teaches every son to become good, but there are unfortunate sons who do not take the father's instructions seriously, and they remain unfortunate. So it is not Krishna's partiality, it is our misfortune that we do not take care of the instruction of Krishna and suffer in this material world. This is the real position of the rascals. The rascals say, why? If Krishna is so good, why he has put me into this position? The rascal does not know that Krishna wants you all to be happy, and he has given the instruction how to become happy. But we are unfortunate. We do not take Krishna's instruction and suffer. So one time, Lord Shiva and Parvati were traveling, and they saw this one beggar, and he looked very pitiable. And he was saying, please help, Bhai Sahib, Asirvat. So Parvati felt so sorry for him. She said to Lord Shiva, why don't you help him? Please, do something. And Shiva just shook his head. He said, why are you shaking your head? He said, even when we do something, he's not going to take it. He said, no, that's not possible. I said, okay. Let's see. So Lord Shiva, of course, is master of mystic yoga. So he gets a watermelon and puts a very, very valuable jewel in it. And, he didn't have to cut the watermelon. He used all his mystical power to do it. So he transforms himself into an old brahmana, and he's walking past the beggar, and the beggar said, Bhai Sahib, Asirvat, Asirvat. So he stops, the brahmana stops, and he says, what do you call it? Karpuz? Is that the name in Hindi? Karpuz, yeah. So he says, Ya karpuz hai. Karbuj or karbuz? Oh, tarbuj. Okay. Yeah, karbuz is the Muslim way of pronouncing it. Yeah. You're all Muslims down there in the south. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, he offers the watermelon, and the beggar becomes angry. He said, "I didn't ask for a watermelon. I want money." So the Brahmin says, "But watermelon is good for you." He said, "No, I don't want it. Take it away. I don't want it." He said, "No, I leave it for you." And he leaves it. So it's a nice looking watermelon, right? So the beggar is really angry. He says a few curse words even. The Lord Shiva leaves. So another man comes, and he says, Bhai Sahib, Asirvad, do me a favor. He said, "What's that?" He said, "Take this watermelon and give me some money." The man says, "Is there anything wrong with it?" He said, No, there's nothing wrong with it. Perfect watermelon. He said, "Why don't you eat it?" He said, "I don't want this. I want money. Rupiah." Okay, so the man says, "How much you want?" He said, "Give me anything you want." So he gives him 1 or 2 rupees, takes the watermelon, and Lord Shiva and Parvati are watching, and Shiva looks at Parvati, he says, "See, I told you." And that guy who took the watermelon, when he opened it, he found that precious jewel. He became a very rich man. So that's why Prabhupada is saying they don't take care for the instruction of Krishna, and thus they suffer in this material world. This is their position. These rascals, they inquire, why, if Krishna is so good, why he has put me into this position? The rascal does not know that Krishna wants you all to be happy, and he has given the instruction how to become happy, but we are unfortunate. We do not take Krishna's instruction and suffer. So, let's stop right there. Are there any questions? Huh? Oh, I thought you had forgotten about it.